So as you guys know, Ranked recently had released last season, and Fortnite recently did a Ranked reset in which they reset everybody's Ranked and made it way harder to rank up and changed the system of how points and progress is made when you're playing this game mode. Now in today's video, I want to go over one of the most important aspects of Ranked play, which is winning your off-spawn engagements, and I want to explain exactly how you guys can win every single one and how you can improve to win them also in tournaments as well. Anyways, let's hop right into this video. So I want to begin by going over trying to get the best drop for your POI. Now this is something that's extremely important for you guys to actually win off spawn because it constitutes you guys getting the best drop and once again landing the earliest and getting the best loot, which will not only help you guys get the best loot from your POI, but it'll also help you win any off spawn fights by you guys having the best loot. Now as you guys know, there's multiple different ways to try to maximize your efficiency of getting the best drop. You guys may have heard of stuff like drop maps. If you guys don't know, drop maps are essentially a map in which you can go onto different websites such as landingtutorial.com, and you can find out different bus paths and where to jump and where to deploy your glider in order to get the best drop spot. Once you have the best place for you guys to drop, then you can easily figure out exactly where to jump and where to deploy your glider, and that can be your marker for your drop map. Almost every single major pro player will have a drop map for their POI. It's a really good way to lock down your POI and understand exactly how to win off spawn every single time, because not only will it give you the best drop, it'll also give you the best sight lines if you choose where to drop correctly. Once again, I'd recommend you land somewhere in which you're always guaranteed a weapon and some shield if possible. A guaranteed chest would be really helpful, but also floor spawns are very beneficial as well. Ideally, landing on some high ground would be helpful as well because you can tag the enemy players out of the sky, especially if they don't have as good of a drop. However, on the same hand, I would never recommend that you guys land somewhere in 50-50, because if you 50-50, you're risking your life in order to try and get a weapon and win an off-spawn fight, which is really not worth it at all. If somebody has equally as good of a drop as you, and you're not certain that you can beat them to the place and get the weapon first, it's really just a better idea to land somewhere else and get your loot. Then you guys can focus on winning the off-spawn fight, even though it will be a little bit harder. Now, drop maps are actually just one way for you guys to get the best drop for your POI. The other way is something that I use quite often and that actually really works with players that play a lot. Now, this is just going to be repeated practice of landing at your drop spot. If you guys land somewhere enough, especially if you land there every single game of ranked and tournaments, you're generally just going to learn where to deploy your glider and where the best drop is by far. Honestly, I'd recommend this over getting a drop map if you do have the time. These drop maps, while they are accurate, are not 100% accurate all the time. Nothing really matches your own feel for landing at a drop spot, which is why if you guys want to try to get the best drop, I'd recommend you land there constantly and try to maximize getting the best drop every single time. Now what this will result in is you guys getting the best drop and possibly having an edge over people who do have a drop map depending on how good you are at this drop spot, but it'll also give you guys different alternatives for when to jump from the bus, when to deploy your glider, where to angle your character while flying down. This stuff will generally just give you the ability to learn your drop spot better than the people who even have a drop map. That's why I think that repeated practice is also valuable. However, once again, a drop map or repeated practice are both very valuable, and either one of them will really help you guys in trying to get the best drop for your POI. Now, moving on to the next tip, this is going to be to really learn your POI. Now, as you guys know, a POI constitutes of very different options for loot and different features of it. It can have chests, slurp barrels, slap barrels, coolers, pretty much anything you need from a POI it can possibly have. However, depending on where you land, it's important that you guys learn everything about your POI. Learn it inside and out, learn it like the back of your hand. If you guys land somewhere, you need to know where every single chest is, every single floor spawn is, every single ammo box is, every single slurp barrel is, every single of everything, you need to know exactly where it is. Now, this might be very difficult for those of you who are landing somewhere new for the very first time, but my recommendation for how to learn a drop spot very well is to do two things. First off, launch up Fortnite.gg, the website. It's going to give you all the insights on where all the chests and all the loot is. I'd recommend then you very simply go into the game, play a ranked game, play a tournament, and then try to land at this drop spot, but ensure that you're landing there and then looting the entire POI before you leave. Not only will this help you completely understand exactly where everything is in the drop spot, it'll also maximize your amount of loot that you get. And once you really keep practicing this, you're going to keep getting better and better, and you're going to get a lot faster at looting the whole POI. My recommendation for you guys is that you land somewhere, land in the highest concentration area of loot, and then go from high to low in terms of how much loot you want. Because if you guys get the most loot right off the rip, you're going to be less likely to actually need better loot. So in case your looting does get cut short, it won't really matter. Learning a POI is by far one of the most important aspects of competitive. You guys definitely need to do this regardless of where you land. Another really effective way of learning your actual POI, that's going to be you guys generally being able to play scrims. That's going to be you guys playing actual tournaments and learning exactly where the spawns are most likely to be. For example, if you guys know that your drop spot has a slurp truck and you know that there's guaranteed 3 chests near it, for example, maybe there's a hollow chest and then 2 chests that pretty much always spawn, you guys always need to go to the slurp truck and then go to the chests that are more likely to spawn. Chest spawn rate is not at 100% for all chests, however, sometimes you can find chests that pretty much always spawn, which is why I'd recommend you guys play in this drop spot enough to learn which chests will spawn more than others. That is actually a realistic way to play that I see a lot of pro players doing, and you definitely need to do that in order to learn your drop spot. And then once you learn the inside and out of your complete drop spot, you're pretty much set to actually loot it and actually play in it in the best way possible. And then of course, the final aspect of winning off spawn, this is going to be more about the actual fights off spawn and what I recommend you do in those. So let's say that you're contested and you land and you get all of your loot, and then basically you and the other player are separated by a little bit of land, and you need to try and get the upper advantage during the fight on your opponent. The first thing I'd recommend you guys do is obviously take the high ground. You don't necessarily need materials if you have the high ground, because the other person needs to build up to you if they do choose to engage you. You should get a little bit of materials, of course, but once you have at least 200 materials, go up onto the highest area of the POI and try to get a good line of sight onto the opponent, ideally without them seeing you, and just try to beam them a little bit. See how much damage you can do to them before the fight starts. If you hit them for enough damage right off the rip, for example, if you hit them for over 100 damage, if you crack their shield, you guys can easily go and push them and then ideally win the off-spawn fight. However, if you crack them for not as much, I want you guys to see if they do disengage from the POI or if they choose to push you, they're going to be lower on resources. For example, if they had to use their meds, they're not going to have as many meds for the fight. High ground in general is a really important aspect of how you guys are supposed to play. You're definitely supposed to gain it regardless of where you are in the POI. And of course, guys, the next aspect of fighting off spawn, this is going to be you guys having really good line of sights and making sure you have the element of surprise. Oftentimes when you're in a drop spot, sometimes people will lose track of where you are throughout the POI. It's actually really hard to understand where you are, especially if your POI has a bunch of different elements such as buildings, crates, anything that it may have in order to prevent you guys from winning. That's something that you guys need to use. You need to have lines of sights, you need to have good angles, you guys need to be hidden, you need to stay hidden. Ideally, what you guys can do is stay hidden, get a nice beam onto your opponent, and then push them and then end up winning the fight based off of your health advantage. In a perfect world, this will really help you guys out. Once you get all of these different lines of sights, high ground, I'd recommend you guys try to engage the opponent and see how it goes. If you choose not to engage the opponent and you choose to actually disengage from your POI, if you're the one getting snuck up on, I'd recommend you guys simply do this. You need to try to run away from them, but not towards the edge of the map, because then they will try to hold you. My recommendation is that if you guys have a drop spot that is on the edge of the map and the opponent has you pinned against one side of the map, I'd recommend you to try to build into an area where you can get enough cover to sneak around them. And if they do choose to follow you, you guys can ideally try and go back in the places that you built and try to get a nice beam on them so that they choose to disengage as well. That's the perfect world scenario for exactly how you guys can play the off-spawn fight. The ideas of getting the best drop, learning the POI, and getting the high ground and positional advantage. Those 3 things will ideally help you guys win every single one. And remember how important this is for ranked. If you guys keep dying off spawn, you're never going to go anywhere, especially in those ranked game modes. Anyways, guys, that is the video on exactly how to win off spawn. I hope you guys really did enjoy. I enjoyed making this video. I'm really excited to see what happens for the rest of the season in terms of the off spawn meta. I think it's really going to change, especially with the new loot pool. Everybody's going to be having a lot of shield. There's more options for how to actually play. I think it's going to be really entertaining. But that's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.